Welcome back to Cover Your Assets. We are Financial Tactics for the 21st Century, and you can join us. I've got a room full of experts here. I'm sitting here with Mr. Craig Nexter, a foreclosure defense expert, and also Todd Rooker, unbiased advice, unbelievable perspective, and a very different kind of practice than what most of us have been exposed to. You are welcome to give us a call and tap this expertise all the way till the top of the hour, 651-289-4488. That's 289-4488. So, Craig, you know, we started this show a few months back because really it's in response to all the things that are going on, really unprecedented conditions in all of our lifetimes. And some of us in this room are pretty old.
Well,
sorry.
Is that funny?
Well, that kind of threw me off.
I'm sorry.
It threw me off.
Yeah.
Look, the American dream was home ownership. And then with your home, as your family grew, you would move up, Todd, and you'd buy that move-up house. And then as the kids grew a little bit more and they got big and you were making those bigger dollars, you'd buy that big house.
Sure, and in the process, you build your net worth. Sadly, too many people use their home as an ATM, but, you know, surprisingly, the value of homes was increasing so quickly that people could still use that home as a so-called ATM and watch their net worth increase. And if you were to take a look just prior to 2006 and the meltdown, you would have seen the vast majority of the so-called American wealth as it relates to the individual consumers housed in the equity in people's homes. And when you consider that the value of those homes have now gone down 30 to 50% from what they were prior to 2006 across the country, you recognize that the vast majority of that so-called net worth that was housed previously in their home equity is now gone for many people, which means their net worth may actually be a negative zero.
Oh, yeah. Know a lot of people that way.
Yep. So, you know, the tactics that worked in the past don't work anymore.
So if you're a homeowner, you may be close to a crisis where you're looking at what bills do I pay or what bills don't I pay. You should call this show. It's, we're local. We're right here on Cliff Road. It's 289-4488, right? We're right here. You can access questions about short sale loan modifications. Also, a lot of people, they are paying their bills on time, but as Todd spoke, they feel hopelessly underwater where they're $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 upside down. They seem to be shouldering the weight of this economy.
So let's talk about that, because when they're in that position, they're considering which direction they're going to go. And there are things that they've heard about: short sale, loan modification. Of course, bankruptcy and foreclosure are at the dead end of that scale, because they certainly don't even consider those things, but may inevitably wind up there if they just simply continue to pay their bills and exhaust their resources to do that, delaying the inevitable. But when you look at short sales and loan modifications, if you want to talk about what people are really interested in, and if you go on the internet, you're going to find that probably loan modification is the thing that's going to get hit the most in terms of a keyword search. The problem with loan modifications is everybody holds it out as their end all, going to fix everything, and you have to recognize first and foremost that 95% of the loan modifications that are being submitted are going to be declined in the first place. The government.
Hold on, let's say it again. 95% of all loan modifications are unsuccessful. Look, if you're in Las Vegas, you don't play that game.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
no kidding. Huh?
Right.
Well, and guys, seriously, back on October 17th, and we've talked about this on the show before, and our 8 o'clock time slot, this is our first time at the 3 p.m. here on The Patriot. We talked about on October 17th, President Obama came out and made this announcement of this great new program through the FHFA that's going to offer you the ability to refinance if you've got 6 months of non-late payments and you've got a Fannie or Freddie loan, whatever. The problem is the lenders that are out there expected to be able to take all these applications for this, they still don't have the details of what this is about. But they took the big PR splash, and voila, we still know nothing.
Big PR splash. Where's the herd of people? We know that 80% of the populace is upside down.
Well,
where's the herd of people going to their mortgage office to get this new loan?
Absolutely, and you've got to take into account what the perspective is of the lender. The lender, and nothing wrong with this. The lender's goal is to make money, and if they're a public company, to make their shareholders money. Well, at the end of the day, as these small banks go out of business and they're gobbled up by the larger banks, they're being purchased for cents on the dollar, which means the financial obligations, the promissory notes, the mortgages are being acquired by these big banks for cents on the dollar. In some cases, as little as 8 and 10 cents on the dollar, which means that your mortgage that's $200,000 was purchased for $20,000, basically on an acquisition of a company that evaluated the overall value of that company, those notes included when all considered. Wow. So when they foreclose in a short sale, or they accept a short sale, or they foreclose and they sell that property for $100,000, $200,000 mortgage, and they bought it for $20,000, first question you got to ask is, are they losing money?
I think not.
I think not. And
isn't that what we hear? Hey, the bank's not in the banking business. The bank doesn't want my house. If they saw this house and they knew how far upside down I was.
Well, obviously they don't want my house. This is what people say. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. The fact of the matter is they're making money hand over fist on foreclosures, and people don't understand that.
There's a reason why there's 9 million foreclosures and not 9 million loan modifications. There's a reason why there's 5 years of shadow inventory, and we're not talking about how quick and easy the short sale process is.
Well, look at this. I just described how a bank could take a $200,000 note, sell a home in foreclosure for $100,000, and make a whole bunch of money. Then you add to the fact that the government subsidies, provided they comply with the different government programs out there, which is to say that they offer loan modifications. I didn't say that they gave loan modifications. I said that they attempted to offer loan modifications, will enable them to get as much as 85 cents on every dollar of so-called loss. So if they have a $200,000 mortgage, home sells in foreclosure for $100,000, there's a $100,000 deficiency between the mortgage and the sale price, and the government will give them as much as over 80 cents on the dollar. They're making money hand over fist. Why do they want to do a loan modification? All they need to do is purposefully understaff the loan modification department so that they can foreclose and make money hand over fist in foreclosure.
They make 85 cents on the dollar, and that's bailout dollars.
Okay, now I want you to hit on something because you guys just backed into a political area.
Well, are we on the right radio station for that?
You are. And what I want to do is
the guys before us were really political.
Yeah. I want you guys to turn around and I want you to talk to all the people that probably listen to the Patriot and sit there and say, I was not raised to try to play games with the bank. I was raised that when I sign a note, I pay my bills and blah, blah, blah. And I think what you just laid out there, Craig and Todd, is the fact that, look, yes, you signed the note, but then they're selling it on the secondary market for these ridiculous things, and now the motivations are all different, and the game has sort of changed.
And we've also got to make a distinction between the big banks and the small banks, because the small banks aren't getting these subsidies, and they are losing big time, and they are struggling to survive with the big monster in the corner, the large banks, just waiting to gobble them up as they go down. And quite frankly, the FDIC that insures depositor accounts is camped out in the front offices of these banks, asking them to collateralize its loans dollar for dollar in an ever declining market, which is virtually impossible. And when they can't do it, the FDIC takes away their guarantee on depositor accounts, rendering them insolvent or at least putting them into receivership, out of business. Then they're purchased by a large bank. That's the fear of the small bank. So big distinction between small banks and big banks. Bottom line is this. If your whole strategy is built around getting a loan modification, better have a backup plan. You don't build strategies around things that have exceedingly low percentages of probability without having a contingency backup plan. People come to me and they say, I need to get a loan modification. I say, great. Why do you need one? I can't afford to make my house payments. And I say, okay, so great. So I've been trying for 13 months to get a loan modification. I failed. And after submitting my stuff endlessly 10 different times, finally I get to one person who in 5 minutes tells me I don't qualify for a loan modification. And I say, okay, great. So how much do you earn? $65,000. I say, take your calculator out. 65,000 times 0.31%, 31% of gross income. Best you're going to get. That's what the government program offers. Take that number. That's
as
20.
A payment.
That's right. This client in particular earned $65,000 a year. I took that. Their current payment was $1,500 a month, and they couldn't afford to make it. Young family, $65,000 a year, gross income, mom and dad both working, and 4 children. Total 31 cents on 31% of $65,000 is $20,150. You divide that number by 12, that's $1,679 per month. Is that person getting a loan modification?
Come on, Todd. All I had was a simple question. Come on.
Yeah.
I just had a simple question.
No chance. And he says to me, you may not have been waiting for a year and a half to get a loan modification. In 5 minutes, you told me I had no hope. And I said, well, look, you can try, and I'll never dissuade you from giving it a shot because, hey, maybe you'll be in the 1 in 10,000 who actually gets it, even though you probably shouldn't. But you know what? If you built your strategy around that, give up and go home right now. And that's what people don't know.
Well, a lot of times they'll be on a trial modification, and they think that they're on the home stretch where your $2,000 payment is now $1,000, and now we've absorbed that $1,000 into our lifestyle, thinking that we're on the home stretch. And now what we see are people that are 7, 10, 12 months in to a trial modification.
It's only supposed to be 3.
But we're a little bit deeper than that, right? But it is only supposed to be 3. And you're calling and you're asking, and they're saying just keep sending the money. And then what we find out at the end of that period is that investor who really owns the loan doesn't participate in the loan modification program. And really you've been paying into an endless revenue stream for a mortgage servicer and not bettered yourself at all.
And I think it's really important, and I think you guys put out a killer takeaway from this segment here at Cover Your Assets, Financial Tactics for the 21st Century. And by the way, 289-4488, 651-289-4488, if you want to jump in with the question. You guys made a very chilling description of how big banks are the ones that got the bailout money. They're the ones that have all of these amazing dollars to play with to foreclose on your home, take it, and make a ton of money. And the little banks are not getting that, and they're getting driven out of business. So when we sit there and think about how we were raised and what our values are about our debts and all this kind of stuff, that there really is a cause to rethink these strategies. Is that true?
Well, that's exactly right. And that's why you've got to come in and you can't have your head hung down. You have to actually have a fundamental understanding of how things work before you start feeling bad.
Well, I'm a third-generation Marine. Todd, fourth-generation Navy. He was 70-2 as a national Golden Glove champion. We're talking to a conservative Minnesotan audience. We know how we were raised. And we weren't, words like bankruptcy, right? But we're having conversations with people here's your choice. You pay back the $80,000 second mortgage or pay $2,000 to file bankruptcy. Choose.
And that's what we're here to talk about right here on Cover Your Assets. Craig Nestor, Foreclosure Defense, Todd Rooker, Unbiased Advice, and you too at 651-289-4488. Cover Your Assets continues.